Have we gotten started yet?
I think we're alive. We're live. I'm very excited. Awesome. All right, guys. Look, sorry we ran into some traffic today, and it happens. Everybody's getting excited to go out and have some fun. So, hello, everybody. Welcome. Phil Cutting here, your friendly product guy. So I talk fast, move faster. I'm excited. You guys know I'm from Boston with the Southern hospitality, and I'm excited to cover some grounds on how to help you guys learn to do some cost-effective discovery and initial product development that's going to help you test your products with little to very little time, very little money, right? And I'm excited for this topic today. It's going to be
Hey,
kind of fun.
folks. Oh, yeah, it is going to be fun. Hey, folks, thrilled to be here with Mr. Philip Cutting. We've got some real world stories today and powerful AI and no code tools that you can actually use right after this session.
Beautiful. So today is all about scratch and sniff. And now it sounds funny, but let me explain quickly. Just like buying a real estate book back home in Boston, where you'd scratch at the paint and you'd sniff around for mold or any signs and signals, right? You're going to do the same process for your business ideas that need quick validations and checks to see if they're worthwhile. So let's save your time and your money and a bunch of energy and show you the process.
So, okay, so what are you going to do it? And
Okay. So scratch and sniff, it's the main concept is that it's a framework where you can test out ideas first, see what makes sense, and then take and develop some products based off of that smell test, right? So here's how I do it. And you guys all remember the scratch and sniff stickers you had as kids, right? They're fun. They love it. My kids like to eat them. I don't know why. All of my boys have gone through this stage. Probably because it smells like candy or something. But let's break it down. So the scratch part is the first test that you do with your internal team, your partner, your friend, or even just yourself or ChatGPT if you don't have anybody else to talk to, right? You with your dog, doesn't matter. What you do is you take all your ideas and you put them into small ideas. Like take your whole list of concepts and put each one of them into a 15 to 30 seconds explanation. It's not about making a TED talk for it. It's not about proving its value. It's just getting to explain it in a very concise way, 15 to 30 seconds. And what you're going to do as a team or by yourself is do a gut check. Does this idea make sense? Right? You're just scratching the surface. You're not trying to dig into it. You're not trying to overthink. You're not trying to be too cute. If you're having a hard time saying, hey, does this make sense? Before you even start, decide what's important to you and how you're going to set up the rules for evaluation. This is good to do ahead of time because it's going to save you time thinking while you're going through the process of what's important. So make a table and you should have two sides. One should be it has a high return on investment or it has a low return on investments. The other axis should be is it going to be very hard to do or very easy to do? Create these kind of criteria so that when you plot the idea, you just take your intuition and you put it on the chart like, hey, this is going to have a high rate of return and it's very easy. Obviously, this gets full points. You're going to have other times where it's going to be like, ooh, I know it's not easy to do, but if we don't do this, we're just going to go out of business because everybody else does, right? That's a little different category. It becomes all of a sudden necessity. You have to prove that to yourself, right? And to your investors. So don't go out straight away and say, hey, I can or can't do this because of this concept. Go ahead and test that, right? So you get these ideas that are high value or just critical for your business. Then what we do is we go on to the next part. So, but I want to take it for a second and see if there's, I know we're running late. I don't think we have much of an audience right now, but let me ask you, Rahima, right? This is a process that I love. I word it a little bit differently when I'm with the team, but it comes down to the same thing, right? So when you're looking at a bunch of ideas
Yeah.
and you have to sort them out, right? We don't have
Mhm.
endless resources and endless time. We have to prioritize the ones that are make the most sense, but we
Exactly.
also have to have some fun and see what is going to be important for us. We have to play around, do some discovery, right? And this role is kind
Absolutely.
of like making mud pies in the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. And once it's like that, you've scratched, it's time to actually sniff the sniff test. It's
Yes.
actually an external validation. In simple terms, we
Hmm.
can say, can I build a rough prototype and get actual humans to react to it
Hmm.
without building a full product?
Yep. Yep.
So, this could mean into a no code, a leading page with a waitlist form,
Hmm.
a mock-up you
Hmm.
show to 5 real customers, or a simple automation that mimics your full solution. This is how it goes, and it's the business version of does this smell off? So it is like that.
This is how you do the smell test, right?
Yeah.
So, uh, don't you can't do the smell test yourself in the most for the most part. You're too close to
Yeah.
the problem. You can do the scratch test. You can say this makes sense, but by the time you finish that scratch test, you've already sold
Mhm.
yourself into the solution, right? You can't
Yes.
have a 10 out of 10 and say that doesn't make any sense because you know it makes sense. Now, you know it
Absolutely.
makes sense until you put it in front of somebody and they look at you like you have three eyes and are like, dude, no way in the heck mama is doing this. No, mama says no, right? Like my wife, mama says no.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, and I have three boys, so it's the other thing you hear is not the face and clean up the blood. So, boy, you don't understand. Boys throw the stuff. But back to the point. It's not
Okay.
about perfection, right? And you're not trying to impress anybody. You're not trying to impress visitors. You're not trying to
Mhm.
impress stakeholders. You're not even looking for pretty, right? What you're looking at is there, first of all, first question, can I, with a no code or low code solution, create a little test that I can take to three people that are in my target demographic and see if it makes sense to them at all, see if they like the idea, see if there's immediate resistance to this. It used to be we'd
Mhm.
have to go out and talk to them and ask them some questions and try to guess and see how they responded and like intellectual and see if they were intellectualizing it or just being too nice. You give a person a demo in their hands and they're
Yeah.
immediately like going to be honest with you. It's like, oh, this doesn't make sense. I don't know why I'd be doing this in the first place, or this is great and I like this, or it tends to be somewhere in between. Like, okay, this doesn't make sense. You explain it, and then they're like, oh, okay, cool. Now you take and throw away that mock up and you create a new mock up with some AI or no code tools and you go back at it. The reason I say you throw it away is because, in general, if you try to take some of this AI generated stuff and
Mhm.
modify it, so much harder than just starting over and getting that close to close. We're not looking for perfection in our sniff test. We're just looking to
Exactly.
see if it makes sense. Do they want it? Do they like it? Is it understandable? Do you have to
Mhm.
educate the audience on how to use it? Do you have an idea that is intuitive? Or can you come back, make it more intuitive? Just get
Yeah.
feedback. How do they respond? Biggest thing you can
Exactly.
do.
That's like the response you're going to take from the audience, from the other person that you're uh, that actually is sniffing it. So here's a gold rule. If it takes more than a week to test, you're overthinking it. And
Mhm.
yeah, scratch and sniff method exists so you do not end up building a castle nobody wants to live in. So that's about it about for this.
Yeah, no castles, guys. No moats, no castles. The and not even the whole solution a lot of time with these little scratch and sniff test. It's if I'm making a meditation app, can I just make a little app that has two or three recorded videos
Mm-hmm.
on it? And I'm going to go to ChatGPT or whatever system I have, just build on the console some of these meditation recordings. I'm going to put it into my little scratch and sniff module that I made up on my phone and I'm going to put it on there. It's just going to play it and I'm going to see if people will listen to the kind of quality meditation that I can make with AI and with the voice text. I'm not trying to see if it makes their life better. I'm not trying to see if they can go into a Zen mode. I'm just looking at their reaction and saying, hey, is it kind of there, right? Would they
Mhm.
listen to this in the first place, or is it going to be that I have to do massive curation? So I want to
Yeah.
see, can I just do this automatic? Can I prompt it with a couple things? I'm going to do 3 recordings. I'm going to go to 2 or 3 people. I'm going to see what the immediate response is. Yes, 2 or 3 people is not enough, but based off those reactions, you're going to get some great feedback, even without people trying to say, and you get that smell filling, right? So we're looking for a
Yeah.
smell here. Now, you do some of this, and what happens, right? You have new ideas.
Yeah.
You almost impossible to do some really, you cannot do some good interviews and not come
Mhm.
back with a way to improve your product. This is actually part of the endless loop that a lot of people get stuck in. They create their MVP, and now all of a sudden they're testing with people and they're taking that as too much feedback when they need to
Mhm.
actually just go in the market and see if they can find that audience. Now they're trying to go and modify it. Do that early on
Yeah.
and see, get close to good, pass your smell test. Don't build the whole thing. Don't try to swallow the whole frog or the whole elephant in one go. Do little bites.
Okay. So it's mostly about like curating that thing according or customizing that thing according to your audience. Uh, like for the people who are actually using, who are actually target that thing is targeted to. So for that, what do you suggest dev tools?
hmm So when you're doing this initial stage, there's, like, you can imagine 3 buckets, right?
Mhm.
So here's the engineering process. Right now,
Mhm.
we have development tools like some React, Ruby on Rails. We have Python. We have all these server side components. We have real
Mhm.
hardcore programming. This is dev tools. You need a guy that knows what he's doing. He's a serious pro. He's done 100 of these apps before, right? This is his everyday bread and butter. He's never going to let it go with this bucket. That's dev tools. This is the best
Okay.
performance, the consistent. This is the dream of end result probably of every company. Now you have something in between. You have low code tools. This bucket,
Okay.
there's a few programs out there that are easy to work with. We'll talk more about
Okay.
it, but just keep in mind there's a series of, and there's going to be more that come, low code tools that a programmer can take, modify, and have some fun with, but
Mhm.
also has the power and flexibility by taking essentially building blocks, putting it together. Then what you have is no code tools like
Okay.
WordPress, or WordPress is a type of one, but um, all those kind of no code tools that you just put stuff together and you have your website or your application. Not a lot of flexibility, but it has the tools to kind of present and prototype something. Now, these are the traditional buckets for the past decade or 2 decades, right? But
Okay.
now we have AI, and it's getting crazy because the with AI, we can blur between all these tools. We have Lovable, we have Replit, we have Retool. We have so many tools that we can have at our disposal to quickly create stuff that maybe we won't want to marry, right?
Mhm.
But it's going to get us where we needed to go cheaply and effectively, and going to save you so much learning. You're going to learn. When you're making your app and business on your product, you're going to learn. The question is, do you learn after you made the app and you have to do a major rehaul, or are you going to be bottlenecked into minor iterations that slowly adjust over time because of the expense of it, right? Where pay now, pay later, way cheaper to keep oil in the car and to do the repairs early, right? Same thing. Spend money at the right time, reap the
Okay.
rewards.
Yes. So basically, this is your go-to when you want to test behavior, not build perfection. Um,
hmm
you're validating, will somebody click? Will they actually sign up? Or will they give you a feedback? Uh,
hmm
and honestly, that's all you need right now.
Yeah. Yeah, so don't over engineer. Start with no code or low code. If your I and see if your ideas still work, and do this while it's raw, right? Then after you do that, you get your discovery. You can move on to like maybe a low code or a proof of concept version of an MVP that needs a little bit more muscle.
Mhm.
And once you've gone through that, depending on how you built your what kind of low code solutions you used or how you built it up with some various AI systems, then you can move on to dev tools. Now, this like things like Lovable and Claude X and Codex,
Okay.
uh, with and even just ChatGPT sometimes, right? You can create some apps. They're not going to
Um,
be what you look for, what you really need, especially if you're not an engineer and know how to do it to build it up well. But if you don't have the funds to bring in an engineer to do that higher fidelity solution rapidly,
mhm.
then start with some of these no code, low code solutions. Start with Lovable, have it put in some prompts, say, hey, I want to use something like um, Firebase as my backend. I want to set it up on something that's easy to configure, like Netify, right? Just have it walk you through the process and just ask it to put that solid base and try to plan through that. A little practice goes a long ways, but don't even worry about making something that's going to last for a long time if you're doing it yourself. Just try to get that concept out there so that you can validate it quickly. And if you're kind of skilled and can show off your concept, and by skilled I mean willing to work a little bit to go through and have and make fun of it, make it a game, and you'll see the skill level doesn't matter as much as you think it would. So just start with, don't try to jump right into those dev tools, right? And don't
Okay.
even try to start with a developer, right? And if you're
Okay.
going to an agency or you come to me and I say, hey, I think you need to just start nowadays, right? This has changed over the past 2 months or so, even. It's really changed with me. So, don't be mad at me 5 years ago when I said do it this way, right? That was 5 years ago. This is a new world. So if you're coming to me, I'm going to be like, okay, cool. Let's start with a prototype. I'm going to use one of these quick prototype and dev systems that has a full like AWS behind it. I can make you a prototype in a few hours with AWS background behind it that's going to scale. And maybe you want to do it now. That's not the plan, right? But I maybe want to give you that flexibility. But whatever it is, just because I'm into it, I'm going to automatically include some of that scaling. Don't try to worry about that. Try to have some fun with the cold tools. Move smart, move fast, and don't let building down the perfect solution slow you down. So, speaking of slowing down, let's start with some real world examples. Have you heard
Mhm.
of Doorsteed?
Yeah.
Yeah. These guys weren't playing around. They literally generated rental income to
Mhm.
property owners. And that means that if a property was sitting vacant, they would
Okay.
pay the rent. So it was high stakes and high pressure. Can you
Right.
imagine taking that on as like just jumping out there?
That's a lot.
Right. So to scale something like that, they needed
Mhm.
tools that were able to develop fast and to build up the infrastructure as they went.
Okay.
And obviously, it's a great idea, right? Rich Dad, Poor Dad talks about this. It's called leasing, sandwich leasing. You lease the property, you have to pay for that property no matter what, and then you can sublet it out to other people, companies, or whatever, and you make that spread. Now, obviously, they had to create this whole infrastructure, right?
Okay.
Do you think?
Mm.
And these are like real estate guys, right?
Yeah.
So they couldn't just say, "Oh, I'm going to sit down with some dev tools," and 3 months later, no, they got excited. They went out did the business side of it, started being successful, and now they had to scale a solution that was basically, if they didn't do it, go back probably bankrupt. I imagine, right? I don't know that much details about it, but I could just
Okay.
imagine being in that situation.
So we get the idea that instead of building from scratch, they use Retool, a low-code platform to spin up dashboards for managing property listings, tenant matching, and ops workflows.
Yep. And here's the crazy part. They didn't just save time.
Mhm.
Their developers became 2 times more productive by cutting operational bottlenecks in half. And what used to take weeks to build now can be done in days sometimes. Not always, right? There is a dark side to this whole situation. But
Okay.
if you have the chance and the flexibility to
Mhm.
focus on the core things that are going to hold you back versus make you money and not
Mhm.
try to strive for success, you can do like these guys did, find the opportunity, seize it fast, and then grow.
Awesome. And remember, they didn't launch with a perfect platform. Obviously, they started with just enough to validate what actually mattered. So
Mm-hmm.
it was like, do internal teams use it?
Mm-hmm.
Does it make the onboarding faster? There are
Mm-hmm.
questions like that, like, are fewer leads falling through the cracks?
Yep. Yep. And lessons here, don't
Mhm.
obsess over the tech stack. Don't swim in the details. Focus on
Absolutely.
speed to insight, how
Mhm.
fast you can learn. And in this case, retool helped. So help Doorstead move faster, get smarter fast, and then they're able to scale with confidence when they were able to prove the concept or figure out they had to get out of the industry.
Okay. So next step, we jump into mental wellness as well. Zecofy,
Yeah.
a startup, a startup trying. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. A startup trying to launch a platform that makes mental health support more accessible and personalized. That actually sounds great until they hit the classic wall. That is
Mhm.
development delays.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I've seen this a lot, right? So people have come to me, they're like,
Mm-mm.
and this was before, right? Nowadays, I'm like, okay, I wonder, and I'll actually just give my opinion on this in a second. But
Mhm.
what happened is that they had great designs,
Okay.
but translating those into functional code, it was slow
Mhm.
and it was expensive, and it wasn't done well in this case, and it
Okay.
came completely out of sync with the startup's timelines. So essentially, they had to start over.
Oh, that
And
was the case. So, and that's when you brought in a Locify AI, an AI a power tool that makes that takes Figma designs and it turns them into clean, usable code automatically.
mhm,
It was like hiring a 24/7 front end developer that never takes a lunch break. So it's basically that.
right? And with that kind of combo, when you can have, and you can't always have this, but when you can, it's beautiful. When you have
Yeah.
designers and AI that works in this bottle, you can save huge. These guys, I believe, slash development time and cost, but well, time because they have their team, right? And cost because they have their team. But I believe they saved to over 60%. And instead of spending 3 months building their first test version, they had users playing with the prototype in just a few weeks.
Okay. Right. And Philip, and that prototype, it helped them test things like, are users engaging with the wellness prompts? Do people actually return after day one?
Mhm.
And which features matter, which don't? What's your
Exactly.
insight?
Th- And that's the scratch and sniff. They did
Yeah.
scratch and sniff. They just didn't know what to call it. Right.
Yeah.
And they took it in, they were able to take it far enough to not just test it with a few people, right? But they were able to test it with our audience and to grow and to develop. A hard thing to do sometimes, but
Hmm.
when you're able to, like, here's what I think happened. They weren't able to develop their entire app with the
Hmm.
AI system, right? But they're able to do enough of the monotonous stuff that was going to save them like 80% time, and then left their developers to be able to focus on enhancing it, to making things that matter, and to improve the things that might have taken them longer to see than if they try to wait 2 months to get that prototype in people's hands. So the speed, the ability to focus on what mattered, AI taking off some of the heavy lifting that's monotonous and boring, just saved the
Mhm.
day for these guys. And that's the
So,
bottom line. It did the heavy
mhm.
lifting.
So basically, what you're saying is that both of these startups, they kind of faced totally different challenges, but the method that they used was scratch and sniff mindset, and picked actually the right tool for their stage. Dorsey leaned into low code and to build a smart internal tools fast. Zigify used AI plus low code to accelerate development without burning out the team. That's actually what happened.
And that's it, right? So these aren't unicorn stories. They're
Mhm.
essentially playbooks that anybody can follow in this season. So in today's world, in the chapter in history we're in right now, you can steal these concepts and have and speed up your success or speed up your failure in a way that helps saves you money. While we don't like to consider the possibility of failure, it's
Mhm.
always out there. No business is guaranteed. It can be looking like the most successful possible thing in the universe, and until you get out there and see how the world responds, you don't know. Scratch and sniff, see if it's going to work.
Yeah, this session is going to be helpful from your side. So let's unlock the full power of these AI tools. These aren't just basic helpers, they're changers with deep capabilities that can transform how you validate and build your ideas. So we're gonna go and share something with you. A founder we worked with wanted to launch a real estate lead landing page. So that's basically what he wanted. They went all in using Builder.io, beautiful components, slick animations, a full CMS integration that
Mhm.
looked actually amazing. But guess what? They spent actually 3 weeks polishing pages and never tested the core pitch. When they finally launched, there were zero conversions.
Yep. So they missed the sniff test. Uh, Everything looked great, and um, it was all rosy, right? The grass was definitely greener on that side. And well, you can imagine, I was excited, everybody's excited, and I'm sure you guys are excited reading about the potential of it, but it just didn't fell through, right? So they ended up having to throw the whole thing basically together through some rough pages, working with copy and forms, and tested in front of a bunch of users. Uh, had they done this ahead of time, right? They would have saved themselves a lot of stress, right? So
Yeah.
lesson: design polish doesn't validate an idea. Design,
Mhm.
and I love Figma, right, guys? All you guys know that I am such a huge fan of Figma, of nice designs, of intricate interactions, all these video tools that make it easy to put in the fancy scrolling letters and all the AI stuff that goes through and makes all the beautiful scrolling text, right? But it doesn't always go together. It doesn't
Yeah.
always work. So the lesson: focus on getting that feedback as quick as possible, see what really matters to your clients, and then polish and then refine, then make the perfect copy and iterate and split test and do all those things that developers normally love to do because that's what they're used to and makes success. Just developers, you got to also understand that entrepreneurs and product idea owners, they have a lot on their shoulders, and you got to go with this more modern philosophy to help them test things fast and to see how to make something happen. Worst thing we can do is take somebody's money, believing it's a good
Mhm.
idea without validating and supporting them through the whole process, and then just to see it fall apart because
Mhm.
there's something in hindsight should have been obvious. Those discussions are terrible. Developers hate having them. You can avoid it by doing the scratch and sniff.
Okay, so what we can do is forget the usual write a blog post thing. And let's talk about how ChatGPT supercharges your app development and rapid prototyping. So, app logic and architecture design, that was one thing. Need
Yep.
help outlining your app's flow if you need that database schema or API endpoints.
Hmm.
What do you think? And ChatGPT can sketch those out instantly, saving hours in planning. And if you can talk about like code generation or for MVPs from
Hmm.
React components to backend points in Node.js or a Python Flask. Uh,
Yep.
and about that, ChatGPT. ChatGPT can actually write functional code snippets
Hmm.
which are going to be ready to be tested or integrated. And
Yep.
bug fixing or and optimization. If you're stuck on a tricky error, paste the error message and code snippet and change, and that ChatGPT will actually help you debug or suggest some improvements. That's how it's gonna work.
That's
Um,
kind of how it does work, ish, right? So
yeah,
try it, test it. There's time. All these programs are still struggling with these infinite loops that are just what can just can't be solved, right? So change the system you're using if you're trying to rely on that. Better yet, learn as you go through and make sure you bring the right talent in at the right time. It will save you money. I don't think, and even Sam Altman was saying this, that AI isn't going to replace the developer. It's
yeah,
just going to
make it a little
highlight.
better.
Yeah, it's going to make it very easy for them. The guys that know how to think through this and to work through this, it's going to just become very predictive, very smooth, going to help do like the whole chess thing inside its own head. But development is a creative process. It's not a straight line process. There's always this human iteration that we need because we're making things for humans, right? We're not trying to make the rocket. Well, most of us
Definitely.
aren't trying to make a rocket that's just going to, come out of a shed and hit a tree. We're looking to generally create problems that are complex, solve problems that are complex and dynamic, and that's why we need to come in with our idea. Otherwise, a little calculator would have solved the problem, right? Now, there's a lot of things like there's API integrations that it can help you with. This is a great place to use it. Whether you're trying to connect to Stripe or Twilio or any other service out there, these some of the biggest problem is digging through documentation and
Mhm.
even kind of knowing what to look for. Uh, so looking for alternative options, comparing and critiquing other options. Just like we used to say, I want to check out an Android iPhone versus whatever
Mhm.
and see what it filled out, right?
Mhm.
Now, now we kind of do the same concept and say, okay, other than Apple iPhones, what's available out there, right? What are my solutions for solving the problem? And it can help you with that. It's not always going to make the best choice. That's why you have to have some experience and be willing to play with it. But take that, have some fun. Development's like playing in a sandbox. You got to love it. Um, it's great for creating test cases and documentation. I can't tell you how many times that I have gone and done my whole write up, my whole discovery process, and my whole architecture process, and then started having ChatGPT to help format it, fix my spelling,
Mhm.
which I'm atrocious at, and to then challenge some of the concepts. And to even before I go talk to my team, sometimes have bounced off a bunch of the ideas so that I know, hey, this is the easy path, this is a hard path. I tend to come up with way better ideas than ChatGPT still, so I know it's not perfect, but it's really helped me create some clarity sometimes and has saved me. Well, it made me look way smarter than I am. That's for sure. Copy. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about using ChatGPT for UX and copy. It's
Yeah,
really good at science, but sometimes it doesn't it feel a little over polished and just kind of like using the words that's not natural for the situation.
yeah, you're right about that.
That's kind of how it feels with me. Um,
Mhm.
and you're going to get the same feeling if you use too much AI to build your full apps. And I'm not trying
Yeah.
to sell anybody out of doing a full app, right? If it solves a problem
Mhm.
like it did for these guys doing the sandwich leasing, God bless them, right? It got it out there. They had to solve the problem quick. It did perfect for that, perfect use case. But for meditation app, I can't wait to see any of these systems try to make a human relatable meditation app, right? It can understand empathy better than me, it can talk better than me, it's going to be sexier than me, right? All that stuff, but it's not going to have that feel to it just because it's something like just not organic about it, right?
Yeah.
So, but also, where does it make sense? Come on, AI chatbots nowadays, insane.
Yeah.
Um, as far as providing technical supports and providing assistance and being empathetic, and I imagine it's going to be like this for doing operations before long. So, let me see.
So yeah.
That's kind of where I see like the big usefulnesses of it at the
Mhm.
moment, right? And if you want to prototype like a property booking app, right? Ask ChatGPT. Now, yeah, you're going to have some problems when you try to make that platform out of it, and you
Yeah.
want to connect the sellers and the buyers together and to deal with refunds and cancellations and all that stuff. Some of it's normal, but watch out for those like nuanced cases and those human use cases that don't always fall through.
So yeah, ChatGPT is indeed actually very powerful. Let's talk more about Zapier plus AI integrations. Would you like to shed some light on that?
Hmm. Zapier is so fun, right? So
Yeah.
it's going to help you automate your engine, and when combined with AI, and with combined with the MCP protocols, right? These little protocols that help you chat to basically a solid system in the back end with your AI, or even
Mhm.
AI to AI conversations. Like a lot of systems now aren't exactly they don't have, well, okay, so they're just kind of like a two systems now.
Yeah.
They have their internal AI systems, and
Hmm.
then they have their APIs. And these APIs are the traditional process. Yes, if you want to get a list of bookings, for example, you'd have an API for bookings for events, and you get all those back. Now you're like, hey, I want not all the bookings, but I want a booking about this for my 12-year-old son that loves
Okay.
to swim, right? And it can come back and it can think through that use case. But still, it's not so good at returning all the major data that you'd be wanting to use in a structured way to process and evaluate and to consider. While it can consider it itself, it's different use cases. So we're going into a world where we are able to get the best of our traditional architectures for speed, power, and organization, and get the best of the modern automations and AI intelligence to help find those things that make us feel great. And
Okay.
that's it. Zapier is great. I mean, tell me about you. I know you guys love Zapier. Tell me about some of the things it does for us.
Actually, it does a lot of things. Let's talk about like automating the repetitive task. No more
Mhm.
actual manual copy pasting leads. It
Yep.
actually sends the follow ups or updates the CRM records.
Mhm.
Zapier can connect your apps and trigger actions automatically. So that is what actually we use it for.
Yep.
It's an AI powered content generation. Whenever we demand that, it provides us with the work. When a new lead comes in, Zapier can trigger an AI prompt. So to draft personalized emails, generate property descriptions or wellness reminders,
Mhm.
that is customized according to each user. So the other thing that we do with that is lead scoring and qualification.
Mhm.
Use AI to analyze lead data or survey responses,
Mhm.
score prospects based on likelihood to convert,
Yep.
then notify your sales team or trigger tailored marketing actions. So that's how it's going to happen. The other thing is basically that it's actually very useful for customer feedback analysis. It automatically gathers survey or chat feedback, so run sentiment analysis and send summarized
Mhm.
insights to your team's Slack channel or project management tool, whatever works for you. So the other thing is multi-step step workflows. It
Yep.
built complex automation chains that handle everything from user registration, payment confirmation, sending
Mhm.
welcome packs, and scheduling follow up calls without writing a line of code.
Yeah, exactly, right? So think of it this way. You can have like your Salesforce system, right? And you have the people in their contacts or they're out there in the world. You're calling them with your AI voice system, you're getting certain details. Your
Mhm.
AI agent is passing it on to Zapier. Zapier is going out pulling information, running processes like credit checks and background checks, and maybe looking at their Facebook history or looking up a book reference or some any of those kind of things you can kind of automate, right? It starts
Mhm.
executing those tasks. You can have it bring in this information, feed it to the AI system in real time, and it can have that conversation. Or if you're a sales agent or a support agent, then it can bring in all this information into a dashboard while you're doing the same things simultaneously. It's a not to be confused with agenic workflows where you
Mhm.
set up these processes and it continues and goes on by itself. While yes,
Okay.
it will there will be these agenic kind of concepts where they're able to go in, do certain tasks. Right now, Zapier is kind of taking that, filling that space. Um, and Zapier, I think, will continue to fill this entire role. And I'm sure they'll start building some amazing AI agentic agents that are going to help
Mhm.
smooth this stuff out and create those kind of tie-ins to your systems, to your chat, to your WhatsApp, right? For example, and before long to your glasses to put the display in there and help you win that date. Not you, help me win that date with my wife and keep her and stay married. So it's right. My goal in life: stay married as long as possible. Um, it's Zapier's just great. This combination with AI and Zapier, or there's other tools like Zapier, right? But find some of these tools because it's going to turn your business into a 24/7 intelligence engine that works even when you're sleeping. That's the goal of every investor, right? You guys can now have this in your hand. If you can solve a problem in a repetitive way or with reasonable logic, now you can do this with integrations with Zapier, with AI systems. And while you're sleeping, you're having fun, you're playing with your kids, you're going to basketball and football, you can get more done, you can deliver amazing responses faster, and you can keep your customers engaged all without extra hires. And when I am a big fan of hiring extra people. I'm not one of those guys that says I want to be a
Mhm.
solopreneur and I'm not going to hire anybody. I'm not going to be responsible for other people. I'm the opposite, right? I want to create economies. I want to create world-changing systems that supports the community, that supports businesses, that supports families, right? Because when we're too self-centered, we're boring, right? Life is so boring. I want to be in a
Yeah.
world where we can make a difference for each other and to have a lot of fun. So, yes, all without
Yeah.
extra hires, but when you're ready to bring in those extra hires, they should be increasing that profit. They should be doing real things, significant things, right?
Absolutely.
They can feel important and love their job without doing all the tedious stuff that just makes them tired and bored and hate their life.
So basically, these tools unlock speed, scale, and smartness. So you're
Yeah.
not just working harder, you're working way smarter than that. Start experimenting with them now and watch your idea validation and growth actually take off. So here's what we're gonna do.
I
It's
see a
your
ton of
turn.
questions.
Yeah, our comment section is bombarded with a lot of questions. So drop your idea or questions into chat. We'll quickly scratch and sniff, test it live. So
Tell
what
me what you
we
guys think
have,
about the name Scratch a Sniff. Is it too childish? Is it kind of fun?
it
Do we
is very
nail the concept? I think it's totally childish, but I love it. So
yeah.
for me, guys, I'm a dad with three boys. You gotta, if I had $3, I'd probably come up with brilliant stuff, not like silly boy things.
Imagine having your voice in here talking about scratch and sniff method, and we would have
Oh,
been
I
having
tell them
so
about
many.
it. They love it. They're like, that makes sense, Dad. Like I can get it. Right? And they're like scratching everything they can find. And the mother's like, give me that dirty look because now they're scratching and smelling and everything. But yeah,
Yeah. So here we're gonna go with first question. Can you please share some knowledge about forecasting data using AI models?
Mm. Forecasting is kind of is fun and challenging. So forecasting really implies that you have enough data to see some historical trends. Now we can use
Mhm.
AI to make some predictions based off of expectations and kind of the way it was trained. And that's actually very powerful because it's almost, you can still have these predictive results. How accurate are they? I wouldn't trust it if you're looking to uh, plan sales cycles and to plan inventory that you're going to buy, going kind of too far out. Now, it's going to be amazing if you're trying to say, hey, what inventory do I need to keep in stock this week? It's tracking the current sales. What do I have to order because I'm going to run out at this pace? So this is ongoing. And the real gem is once you've got a couple seasons, a couple years of data, or if you already have these couple years of data or sales
Mhm.
calls or uh, contractual experience, any data you have that's consistently and tailored to you is very significant. And this is because there can be two stores sitting side by side, and if you're asking AI that general question, you give
Mhm.
maybe the both same the answer, but it won't affect the both businesses the same because there's something different about each of those businesses they can never tell. Give it that historic data, and now it's great at picking up those patterns and inferring what to do next. And if as long as you tie it into your systems, right, and it's reviewing live data, right, you're maybe tying into weather patterns, news, right, you can feed a lot of data. uh you have to be, well, you have to be a little sensitive about that because context window is still an issue. How much random data can we give it that is going to make sense? You have to kind of use your intuition, right? Some businesses realize that, wow, when it's raining out, I have a lot more business, and when it's not, it's less. And in the summer, for example, I have almost no business unless it's very cold, right? For like cafes that are mostly inside, for example. There's different things, right? Every business is going to be a little different on it, depending on their attributes. So
Mhm.
for me, yes, the answer is it's going to be great at inferring information. It is pretty good now. It's going to improve rapidly over the next couple of years. A lot to is data. Use your intelligence and your intuition and start feeding that other data to try to see, and not try not to overload the system, because that context window, like I said, still small, even with google's Gemini's million token context window, that can still get eaten up pretty fast. So just try to figure out how you can present data in meaningful ways.
Right. So that answers our question. Moving on to the next question, the Divine Aurora is asking, as a leader, what is the crucial step you will take your work forces using AI with full efficiency?
I love leadership questions. I'm going to show that. Okay. So mm, efficiency is something that's kind of a funny question. What is efficient to you may not be efficient to me. And it starts with looking at the philosophy of the business and the culture around it.
Mhm.
So workforce efficiency essentially is a metrics of how people are following those KPIs, and then how accurately those KPIs align with the reality of creating economy and usefulness in the world. So when leaders are looking at supporting critical decisions and taking those risks, because that's what the leader has to do. He has to say, okay, we've been doing this for 2 years. Now I'm going to do something else. We have always looked at it this way, and now we have to reconsider, or we have to hang tough. Is this change in the culture going to affect us this way or this way? Are we going to maintain these core values? What matters to our clients, what matters to us, and how does that affect the microeconomy that we're in? So as far as leadership goes, it's critical to be brave, to listen, and to learn. There's difference also between leadership and management. Management is about applying those standards and expectations that are brought down by leadership. Managers can lead, but they don't always. So this leadership also normally implies a more visionary approach to supporting things. We can look at two different people. We can two people that work together. For example, President Trump. I was about to use a nickname, a funny nickname, but out of respect, I'll go with President Trump, and Elon Musk. Two different approaches, two very successful men, and one they both have different leadership styles. They both have different ways to inspire and to lead their process. Trump looks at, and sometimes we'll find that greed inside the person. What's going to motivate them? What's going to get them to do something for me at a right price, right? His negotiating the deal, basically what's in it for me. Musk is more of an inspirational leader, where he's saying, we're building these rockets to go to Mars. We are not going to do it like anybody else. We're going to fail. It's going to suck. And then you're going to do it right. You have the room to learn, to grow, and to break that mold. We're not going to do it like Boeing. We're going to do it our own way. We're going to take our own path, right? Two very different approaches at leadership, both gain very efficient scales of economy, but different ways to solve the problem. This is the leadership dilemma. Look at what's natural for you and role play, right? I'm a big fan of using AI myself to challenge my concepts, to try to speed up simulations of things. This scratch and sniff concept is about creating simulations, small examples where we can test things out in a way that's the minimum risk, because I'm responsible for my client's success in a large way. They're also more responsible, right? But I can't sleep at night if I didn't really give it a good go and lead through it. So yeah, I'm a leader beneath the CEO, and I'm excited for that, right? I don't want to be the CEO of a startup or of a product company. Why? Because I don't have the vision. I want to follow them. I want that leader to take me by the hand and say, Phil, this is what I see. This is the future, right? Go and execute. I'm like, woo, right? And every time I'm veering off, bring me back in, because I can veer off, right? I'll do that circle.
Okay, understandable. It makes sense. There's another question in here. Amar is just asking, can you share a time where you tried to automate something at work and it completely backfired? What did you learn from it?
So I've tried to, there's been some times where I've spent like 5 days trying to use AI to generate some code for an app to modify some stuff, just because I was so stubborn that I wanted to do with AI, just to see if I could learn how to. Is it me? Is it the AI? Can I just not give it good instructions? Like, how dumb can I be? Because I can just do it myself in like 4 hours. Wasted a week on stuff. Terrible example, but a fact that sometimes AI is trash. That there's been automations, but with doing emails. I haven't done it myself, but I've seen email automations basically put companies on ban lists because they're sending out content that's not relevant and is getting just making people angry because it's not appropriate. Not that it said anything wrong. It was all that loveliness that AI can give, but the automation wasn't tuned in a way that helped them, and it produced results that basically increased their spam score, lowered their reliability scores, and just caused problem. Stuff like this is going to become very common. You got to put some leash on your AI, and you got to monitor it. So automation, beautiful thing, very hazardous if it's touching some things that you have to be careful about. Better not to send out an email than to try to explain why to a million people that you emailed something that wasn't appropriate, right? I can imagine a lot of terrible stories. I mean, I can imagine a lot of terrible use cases, and there are some terrible stories. I mean, fun example, right? We know that Facebook will promote things to people, and sometimes there've been cases of like 16-year-old pregnancies where nobody realized it until they started seeing diaper commercials on the kids'
Mhm.
social media, and the kid is too young to know what's going on, right? Innocent enough to get in trouble, not so innocent enough to hide their mistakes, and it became obvious to the family, right? There's a time the wife doesn't want to tell the husband she may think she's pregnant, right? She may not know. There's times to say it, right? My wife likes to pick the worst time possible, so everybody has their traditions, right? Careful on how you deliver information. I think that's the moral that I said. My wife, last time we had a kid, I was out helping a friend with some construction, having some fun. We're driving down the highway. I'm the passenger seat, and my wife calls. We both had a funny feeling, right? Because she doesn't call me most of the time like that. So she called
Right.
me, and we look at each other, and she goes, "Hey, baby, what are you doing?" And right, my friend sees my expression, and we're like, yeah, yeah. I go, baby, are you pregnant?
Oh,
She
that's
goes, she goes, is it okay? I'm like, yeah, baby, it's great, right? I'm so happy. I don't know how happy or not I was at the moment. I know I was happy, right? But my wife loves to pick the worst time, but that's her right to pick that time. You know, be careful when you're delivering sensitive content. And if you have a product out there that might not fit for everybody, you're going to have a lot of angry people if you're delivering to the wrong crowd at the wrong time.
yeah. So it makes sense that you were happy at that time, were you?
Oh, I was happy, right? My wife is a beautiful treasure. The more kids I have with her, the more she's locked in. No, I'm a big fan of people having lots of kids. I think for the woman, there's almost no bigger treasure than the children. For most women, it's more, children are dearer than the husband. And it's natural, right? She made these little creatures. Um, you know, I like to say you made it, you have to deal with it, but that's not the fact. They they just are the woman's treasure, right? God made it this way.
So that's beautiful. A quick recap for today: scratch and sniff your ideas fast and pick tools smartly. No code, low code, or dev. And validate quickly, then scale. Anything that you would want to share, Philip, with them, with the audience?
You know what? I can't top that. Thank you, dear. And I'm just going to say next session, we're going to build a no code app live with you. So don't miss it. It might be a code app, but we're going to use some tools where I'm not sitting down coding, right? So it's going to be a no code, low code solution. You guys are going to love it. Don't miss it.
Thank you, everybody, for staying here and stay fast, smart, balanced, and see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves till then.
Bye,
Take care.
everybody.
Bye.